have any questions as we're going, please, you're welcome to unmute and ask any question that you might have. I don't have a problem with that at all. So let me share my screen here. So to get to CourtLink, it's part of your firm's Lexis subscription. So from anywhere on Lexis, when you're logged in, just look for this grid up in the upper left, click there, and that'll show you all the products that you have access to. So you're looking for CourtLink dockets, and that'll take you to the screen that we see here. So when you are searching for dockets on CourtLink, as you can see, many fill in the blank options. As we scroll down, we've got some court-specific options that may be helpful as well. So hopefully, regardless of your criteria, you will be able to find what you're looking for. Now, let's start by pulling up a case when you have the docket number. So when you have the docket number, it is best to pick the court if you know what court it's in. The reason for that is, many courts use the same basic numbering system. So what tends to happen if you leave it for all courts and put in a docket number, then you're going to get a list of results. Whereas if you pick a specific court, then you're going to get just that one case. Now, of course, there are times where you don't know the court and it'll work. It's just more efficient if you do pick the court when you know it. So as far as being able to tell what courts are available on CourtLink, you can do that here. This court selection dropdown is going to show you all of the courts that we have. So you can browse this by clicking the plus signs, as I'm doing, to see what's available. It's also searchable. So say you need to do a search in Cook County, you can just type Cook and it will highlight the matches, and then you can check the box for the one you want. So either option will work. So let's pull up a docket. I've got a number handy here in the Eastern District of Michigan. So I'm gonna put Michigan Eastern, and I'm gonna check the box and then fill in my docket number. Now, as far as formatting of docket numbers, federal cases are pretty forgiving. If I click the view formatting options, that'll always show you what formats will work in the court that you have selected. So you can see here for federal district court, lots of variations of formats will work. Some of the state courts can get a little bit more particular. So when in doubt, you can always use this link to help you make sure that your docket number is in the format that'll work. And then you just click search. And then we'll get to our docket. All right, so here's our case. So, typically one of the first things I'll do when I retrieve a docket is see when it was last fully updated. So for this one, it looks like, I might want to consider updating. So I would click the red update now button to do that. I'll do that here in just a minute. I did want to show you though, in federal courts, we do get new proceedings from PACER throughout the day. So you can see here, a number of things have been added to this docket since the last update. But what the update now button does up at the top is that will refresh the entire docket so that, any changes to maybe an attorney's email or, things like that will also be picked up. And all of this is included in your firm subscription. So, you're not incurring any extra charges by doing any of these things. So as you may have noticed, my screen refreshed and our docket is now updated. So now when I go down to my proceedings, we'll see that notation about events since last full update is gone. Now, as far as accessing documents, any documents that have availability listed as free or online are included in your firm subscription. So everything is in subscription. The only exception is the runner service. So this item here, this means this is something that the court did not make available for online access. We do offer a runner service, but that does cost extra to use. Otherwise, to access any other document within subscription, you can check boxes to retrieve multiple items together, or you can just click the availability link. Now, if you're new to using CourtLink, I would recommend as a first step when you're pulling documents that you take a look at your default document retrieval settings over here on the right. So when you click this, this just lets you pick whether, how you want to handle attachments. Do you want them always? Do you never want them? Do you want them combined with the main document or separated out? And the reason I suggest looking at this is because it's initially going to be set to let me choose which attachments to include. And the reality of that is it means every time you go to get a document, the first thing you're going to have to do is answer questions. Do you want the attachments? Do you want them combined? And you'll fill that out, and then it'll get the document for you. So you can save yourself some time by skipping that step if you set a preference here. So I usually leave mine set to automatically retrieve the attachments. And then I'm going to click save. And now I can get my documents. So say I want to get these two. So I'm going to check them and I'm going to click retrieve. And then it's going to get them for me. And as they come in, I'll get this view link, and I can use the view link to open up my document. And then from here, of course, I can download and print. All right, so let's say this is a case that I want to follow. So I want to know anytime something happens in this case, maybe it's similar to one I'm working on, or maybe, a party that I'm interested in is involved. So really, regardless of the reason, you can set any case on a CourtLink to track. What you're going to do is up at the top, look for the bell. We're going to click that to create a track. Come to deliver. Make sure your email address is added. Down at the bottom, you're going to pick your frequencies. So this is, how often do you want us to check the case for you? And then finally, the format. So when you get your email letting you know that changes have occurred in the docket that you're tracking, you can opt to have the detail of the changes as an attachment or in the body of the email. So a lot of people prefer to get them in the body of the email. A big reason for that is that format provides you with links to newly filed documents. So it makes it easy to, if a motion is filed, you'll be able to easily get to that motion when you get the changes in the email body. Now, if you're working with someone else and they also want updates on this case, you can add any other email here. Just type in the email address, click add recipient, and then they'll get the email as well. That'll work for even people that are not at your firm. In the alternative, if it's someone that's at your firm and they have an ID, you can share the track with them. So if I come to share, just put in the last name of the person that you want to share with. It'll find them, and then click add to share. So the benefit of sharing is it links it up with the person's ID. So that means if I go ahead and share this with my colleague, Eric, then when Eric logs into CourtLink, he can go to his list of tracks. He'll see the tracks I'm sharing with him listed there, and he can view and manage them in the product. Deliver is going to simply send them the information. So bottom line, either way, they get the information. Sharing links it with their ID. Deliver just sends them the information in an email. So once you've got all this set, you're just going to click to create your track. Any questions so far? Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back to my CourtLink homepage now. So you can always get back to the homepage by clicking CourtLink up in the upper left. So what we're going to do now is a litigant search. So we'll just take some of the litigants in this case. So Detroit Public School and the Detroit Board of Education. So let's say we want to look for other cases where they're involved. So I'm going to go back to my homepage. So when you're doing a docket search, just like when you're searching by docket number, if you have specific courts that you want, pick that first. The default is going to be for all the courts. But if you just want to search certain ones, you can pick that here. I'm just going to leave it set for all courts for this example. So then from there, we're going to fill in the blank with our litigant names. So here we will fill in, and just so you know, some best practices for these, I'll mention, because a lot of people like to search using Boolean or terms and connectors. So if that's the way you like to search, then here in keywords, you can use the Boolean. An easy way to remember that is it tells you can use Boolean. The others, where it says enter name, it literally just means enter the name. So if my litigant is Will Smith or William Smith, I can do William Smith. And then if I also want it to look for Bill Smith or Will Smith, then what I do is I click add more and enter in those options. Now for people's names, I recommend not putting them in quotes. And the reason for that is if I search a name and it's not in quotes, it's going to give me results where those names are close to each other as a litigant. So I'm going to automatically pick up things that have a middle name, a middle initial, last name, comma, first name. You're not going to miss things. If you ever want things searched in an exact order, then you would put it in quotation marks, and that lets it know I only want results with these two words exactly in that order. So we're going to do Detroit Board of Education. And then I'm going to do add more. And I'm going to do Detroit Public Schools. And I'm going to pick or, so that it looks for one or the other. And then for these examples, I'm not going to put them in quotes. A lot of times with organizations, I'll put them in quotes to search exact order. Here, I'm not going to, because, it might be Public Schools of Detroit or Board of Education of Detroit. I don't want to miss those things. So I'm going to leave it like this. So again, technically what it's doing behind the scenes is looking for hits where those words are close to each other as a litigant name. So that's kind of my thought process for this one. I'm just going to do anything where they're involved. I'm not going to add any other criteria at this point. And now we're going to click search. Okay, so here are my results, and looks like we've got 527. So now, if I want to narrow down further, I can do that over here on the left-hand side. I can filter, just like shopping on Amazon. I got a ton of different ways. I can narrow this result down, by court. I can adjust the timeline or the topic. If I would need to save this list or send it to someone, I can print, email, or download. Over here in the upper right, you can change how your list is sorted. And then you can see here the indicator letting us know that this is that case that I pulled earlier. Okay, so let's say now that Detroit Board of Education and Detroit Public Schools are my client, or for whatever reason, I want to know anytime they get sued. So one way I can set up CourtLink to let me know about new lawsuits where they're involved is I can click this bell up at the top of my search results to create an alert based on the search that I just did. So this will be up at the top of most of your searches, and you can click that. Now going back to our home page, so I'm going to click edit search actually, so it saves my search terms. So the other way you can create an alert is from your homepage. So if I want to know anytime Detroit Board of Education or Detroit Public Schools is named in any lawsuit, I can set that up from my homepage also. I don't have to do the search first. So first step is to pick what courts you want to check. Then you're going to enter your criteria. And maybe I only want cases where they're the defendant. So I'm going to uncheck plaintiff and other. And then if I only have certain kinds of cases that I want, I can limit by litigation area down here. And incidentally, you don't have to set an alert based on a litigant. If I just want to know about every, environmental law case in a certain court, I can pick the court and pick that topic and create my alert that way. So you can create them based on a law firm or an attorney as well. So lots of flexibility there. But here, if I just want to know anytime one of these organizations is listed as a defendant in a new lawsuit, I can do that. And then from here, I'm just going to click create alert and come to deliver. It's a lot like setting up a track. So I'm going to make sure that I've got my email address entered. If there are others that I want to get these notifications, I can add other email addresses here, or I can share it with them if it's someone at my firm that has an ID. Down at the bottom, I'm going to pick my frequency. So here the frequency is really, just how quickly after we find the case do you want us to send it to you? So, for a lot of people, they want to know about these new filings as fast as they can. So then you'll want to pick as updates are available. That means as soon as we find the case, we're going to send it to you. The reality of how that works out, federal cases, we generally get those within an hour after they hit on Pacer. State court cases, it really just depends on the court. At a minimum, we're going to pick it up when we do our overnight sweep. And then some courts, we do checks more frequently throughout the day. So this will be your fastest way to get new notifications. But if you prefer a daily or business daily email, you can pick that. And again, all of this is covered by your subscription. So it's not like, a lot of people seem to think this is more expensive and it's going to cost them money if they get as updates are available, but it does not. It is still covered by your subscription. Okay. All right. So any questions on creating the alerts? Okay. And so if you have alerts and tracks that you've set up, say you set up an alert and a new paralegal starts at your firm and you want to make sure that he or she is getting those updates as well. So you can change things by up in your upper right, click view all alerts and tracks. And then this is going to list everything that you have running. You can view your results from here. And then over here on the far right, you can edit or delete. If you click edit, it just takes you back to, similar to the setup screen. You can add more search terms. You can change your delivery, any of that, and then just click save. Okay, so now let's talk about ways that you can get back to things that you've done before. So say you pulled a complaint yesterday and now you want to send it to somebody. So the good news is you don't have to search for it and find it again. It's saved here for you. For those kind of things, I usually go to dockets and documents up here in the upper left. This saves a log of every document that you've looked at and every docket that you've updated for 30 days. So you can get here and you can see here's that docket I pulled at the beginning of our call, and then the 2 documents that I requested. So now if I need to send these, maybe I need to send these to Whitney, my colleague, I'm going to check the boxes here and I can download or I can email them directly from here. And then, as we move down, you can see things that I looked at earlier. See, like I said, this saves everything for 30 days so that you can get back to it. If you need to get back to a search that you did before, there is also a history up here in the upper right that saves all of your searches for 90 days. So that you can go back pretty far. Okay, so I do also want to show you on PortLink, there is a large collection of documents that you can search in. It's a great way to find, sample documents. Maybe you've got an expert witness that you want to find anything you can about. So the way to include the full text documents in your search is up here in the upper left. We're just going to switch this from searching for dockets to searching for dockets and documents for the broadest possible search, or you can do just the documents. So let's do dockets and documents. Let's say I've got an expert and I just want to find anything that I can where there's a case that he's been involved in. So my expert is Jeffrey Germain. So here in my keyword, I'm going to enter Germain. And here, since we use Boolean in the keyword field, I'm going to put W/3 between his first and last name. Again, remember, you don't need to do that in the litigant field. Just this keyword field is where you need to use the Boolean. And again, it reminds you, it tells you in the box that you can use Boolean. The other fields just say enter the name. So just as a guide, I would say just refer to what it tells you in the blank. If it doesn't say Boolean, don't use Boolean. Okay, so let's just click search. So we're going to get everything where Jeffrey is within 3 or less words of Jermaine. So now I've got my documents, or I'm sorry, my dockets. And then up here in the upper left, since I searched both dockets and documents, I can now switch if I want to look at the documents that I found in my results. So, you know, a lot of times with documents, I find people are looking for a certain kind of document. So let's say I want to see if any of these documents are a motion to exclude. So what I'm going to do here up in the upper left where it says search within results, motion to exclude. Now this is going to give me everything though that has motion to exclude somewhere in the document. So what I'm going to do, if you just put the word title and then your search terms in parentheses, that lets it know that I only want things where motion to exclude is listed in the title of the document. And we've got some tip sheets to go over these things that we'll make sure you get after the call today. But so now we've got our documents that have motion to exclude in the title of the document. Okay, so going back to our homepage again. So we talked about the dockets and documents. The last thing I want to show you quickly are these strategic profiles. These are litigation history reports. So what these do for you is instead of just giving you a case list, it does some analysis on the information in the case list. So here, you know, you can do these based on a litigant, an attorney, a firm, a judge. You know, great way to get information on maybe your opposing counsel or the judge that your case is in front of. So good resource for litigants. It's interesting to even run these on your own clients. That way you can see, you know, what firms they might be using besides yours to represent them, what kind of lawsuits they're involved in most often. So let's just stick with our same example. So Detroit Board of Education or Detroit Public School. And I'm going to change this. I'm going to go back a little bit further. I'm going to go back 5 years. And you can just note up here, the court system, you can do these in state court too. It's not just federal court. Okay, so I'm going to click to create my profile. First thing it's going to do is bring me a list of matches that it finds. So I'm going to go ahead and just include all of these in my profile. All right, so here we've got, you know, like I said, you've got a breakdown by nature of suit. It's like, you know, civil rights and employment cases. Are there big areas of litigation? Where the cases are filed? And then what law firms they use to represent them. So this is a good way, you know, you can find out, you know, if it's your own client, what % of their business your firm has, what other law firms they're using, etc. All right, so hopefully this has given you some ideas on how you can use CourtLink. Again, remember, this is all within your subscription, so there's no extra charges for doing any of the things that we've gone over today. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up?
Good morning, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi, I'm Tina. Thank you for putting this presentation on. I have a question about whether you can set an alert for a particular kind of document, like an order in a particular district and limited to an area of law. Since we have to put codes, they're all, you know, by code. So I was wondering if that was possible.
Yes, there are a couple of ways to handle that. So we actually, if it's in, is this going to be in federal court or state court?
Federal court.
Okay, great. So that makes it easier. So we have something in federal district court called a new event alert, which is a way to get a notification of a certain filing type in existing cases. So it kind of is a combination of a regular alert and a track. So what you do is first pick your court. So you can pick, so you want, it's only available in civil federal district courts. So I'm just going to pick all of them. But of course, if you just had certain ones that you wanted, you could do that. So once I indicate that I want to do stuff in federal district court civil, then down at the bottom of my screen, it adds this thing here where it says for alert only. So I could say, okay, I want to know every time an order is filed. So I can pick order. And then if there's a certain kind, you can pick that, or you can just leave it for all. And then if you want to indicate a certain nature of suit, then you can pick that up here. So you can do this in, yeah, and you can search this too. So like if I know I want things to do with code number 820, I can pick that. So now if I click create alert, it's going to tell me anytime an order is filed in a copyright case. Is that what you meant?
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So now at this point, I would just click create alert, and then, fill all this out as I want. The main thing is you got to pick the court first, and then that option will show up for you down at the bottom.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure thing. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining. It was nice speaking with all of you this morning, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.